You're now rocking with the best, and this is Tone Space Portion Part 2, right? So, I was leaving off talking about a mentality, a limited mentality, stifling one's own abilities by trying to fit into some illusionary shit that has been pumped up to be a standard that's effectively part of a bigger plan to suppress. So, don't do that, right? Don't do that. But limited mentality, but the reason it could work is because there's a lot of stupid motherfuckers out there. You know what I'm saying? I'm realizing how stupid motherfuckers are. I recently just got into Reddit, into posting. I'm on some, I won't say what it is. I'll say at some other time maybe. I might parlay that into a video channel or something like that, but I got a lot of people fucking with my shit or whatever, right? But I'm starting to notice a lot of times things I explain that are to me simple, and I go through detail explaining what I mean, so many people just don't get it. So many people misconstrue what I say for one thing to another, and they're thinking I'm saying another. Like, for example, that other that they think the shit I'm talking about is, I may cite that type of thought as an example while I explain my own, or use it as a vehicle to get to what my own perspective is. And mad people will mistake that for me thinking that my perspective is that thing I was using as an example. It's dumb shit. I wouldn't be surprised if only 10% of people even understand what I just said right there, to be honest with you, right? And I'm starting to get an understanding. Like this dude Steez talking about, yeah, Tone Space, long-winded. He be trying to sound intelligent and all that. No, I really don't be trying to sound intelligent. I'm really just being myself. And I'm not forcing anything. This is just how shit naturally flows out of me. But I'm starting to understand what he's getting at by the long-windedness. And it's less, if I got my translation, the way I take it is less about a long-windedness. It's more about spoon feeding. You can't explain to these stupid motherfuckers things in the way that, it works in your mind. You know what I'm saying? The logical premise and the pathway of logic that you had to get to a certain point you're trying to make, you can't convey it that way. 90+% of people are not going to get it. I'm starting to realize motherfuckers are stupid, dumb motherfuckers. Or maybe just average intelligent motherfuckers. And my standard is a little more. This is the Tone Space suck-off portion of the show. Self-suck-off portion of the show. Because I think back, right? When I was young, I was labeled a genius. Man, I couldn't stand that label as a shorty. Why? Because now, I'm not going to go into too much of that, but I'll just say in general, I was put on a certain standard. Now, if I'm walking down the street, I can't trip because I'm going to get, oh, you supposed to be a genius. Why are you doing that? Other regular shit that little kids may do, or things that kids may get into that might be deemed wrong or that might be wrong. Now I'm looked at like, why'd you do that? You're supposed to be a genius. So I grew up with kind of like a disdain of the label of genius. And suffice to say, there weren't adults that cultivated that classification that I was given at a young age that really, took it to the moon, so to speak. It was just getting thrown back at me. Like when anything, slightest thing I did, you're supposed to be a genius. That's as far as the genius thing went. There wasn't any Mensa for me. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't this, that. I mean, I did go to the third top specialized school in the United States, Brooklyn Tech. My shorty went there as well. You know what I'm saying? She's a fellow genius. You feel me? So there's that. But everyone took those tests in junior high school to try to get into one of those three top high schools, and so it wasn't like, oh, he's a genius, let's have him apply for this school. Nah, it was just something they gave to everybody. 99% of people didn't make it and weren't even able to get into the top one, the second, or the third. I made it into the third. My test results didn't get me in the second one or the first. First was Stuyvesant. If you got into the first, you was that nigga. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't make it there, but I made it into the third. You feel me? But I say all this to say, and then like I have, friends since high school that I've met in high school. Brooklyn Damien, he went to Tech. Different friends, different connects of a certain ilk You know what I'm saying? A certain nerdy ilk, like your Immortal Techniques, your Chino XLs, even a little bit my man Mr. Hyde. Necro, he kind of on some other shit, but that's my man's enough. I'm not saying he's stupid. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that kind of like half hood nerd hybrid situation. That's what I'm getting at. Necro's on some old, he on his own shit. He got his own cult following. He on his own shit. And good shit though. You feel me? So I say all this to say that I got a lot of people that be in my circle through the years that I feel are of a comparable intellect to me. So I'm kind of used to mostly conversing with them. You know what I'm saying? On the day to day, talk to them on the phone, whatever. You feel me? So I think I've always, for a long time, I've been sleeping on how not comparably intelligent motherfuckers are. You feel me? Like real shit. Another perfect example. I was watching a presidential debate. I was tapped into Alex Jones. He was playing the debate, live streaming it, and he would give reactions here and there. Now, I'm predicting 10% of people might understand what I'm saying. So you 90%, I don't know, go fry some shit. I don't know, go fart or something, right? So I'm watching a presidential debate. Now, you know Alex Jones, he's up on the dirt that motherfuckers do and all this other shit, right? And in the debate, you know, it's Trump and Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, Kamala Harris. He's talking about, he's kind of like almost angry. He's like, come on, Trump, talk about how they traffic children. Talk about how the Democrats they traffic children. Now, you and I, this is 100% of y'all probably are aware, or we've heard through the years, some very sinister stuff that's done with little kids being trafficked and all of that. We know that as a huge possibility of what's going down by powerful people in this nation, in this world. A lot of us are aware of that, right? Now, let me start by saying I have never heard a president outside of Trump that ever even mentioned that. He's the first and still the only one I've heard mention that. You know, he's the one that the shit that Alex Jones be talking about, Trump will then talk about as well. A lot of stuff, a lot of the dirt. Not saying I totally trust him, because at the end of the day, this all could be a show. But within the framework of this side versus that side, Trump is the only one I've ever heard. I didn't hear Bush, Reagan, Ronald, the other Bush, Obama, none of them, right? So Alex Jones' idea is that the Democrats or the liberals, I don't really fuck with that two-party shit, but let's just say them niggas. Alex Jones' point is that them niggas are down with the niggas that traffic children and they let them do it and they take part in it and all that, right? So he's getting at Trump during the debate. He's like, yo, you gotta talk about how they traffic children. Right? So suffice to say, during the debate, Donald Trump does not talk about how they traffic children. But I'm really looking at this, and I saw a huge error on both of their parts. I was like, yo, y'all already know the way that they try to paint shit, and, you know, the casual viewer, because the whole point of the debate is to win the minds and the hearts over of the voters, right? The general populace, meaning a lot of stupid motherfuckers. So that whole traffic children thing, that's not like a worldwide or United States commercially wide known thing. So if Donald Trump goes on there and tells Kamala Harris, yeah, and I tell you that, you know, he has that stern thing in the camera. Yeah, and I tell you that she traffics children. Biden, he's been caught. He's down with the people. They traffic the children, the little boys, the little girls. They grow them in the labs. They eat their pineal. Like, how far do you want that nigga to go with what's going to sound like some wild shit to the casual viewer that's hopefully also a voter? It's going to sound crazy. So I'm like, yeah, nah, Trump shouldn't do that. Blame them for trafficking children. But then I thought of it deeper. I was like, wait a minute. Why isn't Trump mentioning the trafficking of children, period, though? He's mentioned it before. The debate is the perfect place and the time to mention it. Now listen, hear me out. I'm talking about the 10%, or hopefully the 10%, maybe 5%, for y'all to feel this logic I'm going with. Since no one else talks about it, since it is a theory and it's suspected and there's been rumors that them niggas traffic children, and the theory also goes that Trump's side, the other niggas, don't traffic children, it would make sense that at the very least, he should mention it. And he should mention it a little like this. Kamala Harris, how come you or Biden never talk about the children that's being trafficked? You never talk about the children. You never talk about the trafficking of the children. How come? I mean, I'm not accusing you of trafficking children, but isn't it a little weird, you American voters out there, that they won't even mention it? They won't even mention it. We got kids. We got 325,000 kids a year that go missing and that end up getting trafficked. They won't even mention it. They act like it doesn't exist. Why am I the only one that mentions it? You know what that would do in the minds of the casual voters? It would raise a suspicion. A lot of people have egos. It would give the casual viewer, instead of trying to force feed them into believing the other niggas traffic children, what you're doing is you're allowing the casual viewer or the voter to think for themselves, or at least feel that they're thinking for themselves. Because then they could think, well, yeah, how come Trump is the only one to talk about the trafficked children? They never talk about it. Maybe they do it. You know, you make it seem like, even though the psychological trick is you are implying that them niggas traffic children, but you're doing it in a finesseful way. You're just mentioning it. And the sheer fact that they don't mention it, you're hoping that the psychological effect will have on the voter is they'll think for themselves and they'll come to a conclusion of, yeah, Trump the only one that talk about that shit. I have heard about that shit. Them niggas never even mention it. Word, children, that's a big thing. That should be a huge topic. Them niggas won't even mention it. Yeah, them niggas be trafficking children. Simple as that. So it's like I'm looking at Alex Jones. He wants this nigga to go hard. Traffic children, you traffic children. I'm looking at Donald Trump that's not even touching it. He's touched it before, but then in the debate, most important debate probably of this election coming up, he's not even gonna just plant the seed. That's essentially what it would have been, just planting the seed. Now, I'm not saying both Alex Jones and Trump are stupid, but I am saying, giving myself a true, honest look at my upbringing and where my mind has been and that of my peers, I am saying that niggas don't be as smart as I expect them to be, as I hold them accountable for being. I'm talking to the 90% that hears this and don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about. You feel me? But to the 10% that do, like I said, hopefully 10%, you get what I'm getting. Something that important. Trump's not even going to talk about it, and Alex Jones wants him to shove it down people's throat. Subtlety. Like just the sheer idea of being able to psychologically manipulate a situation in a subtle manner, where you have the subject that you're manipulating or coercing. I mean, ain't nothing wrong with it. If he really believed them niggas is trafficking children, fuck it, manipulate them niggas, because that's the only way they're gonna get it. You can't shove it down their throat like Alex Jones wants you to do. You feel me? So when I say that, I mean that in a good way. I think it's a good thing. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, the fact that niggas ain't up on that, I'm like, that's very interesting. I notice examples like this all over. I'm starting to notice it a lot more in the real world. Just things that I would deem normally simple. It might have a little bit of a strategic flair to it, but essentially it's just simple shit. At least how I'm thinking of it in my mind. And I'm seeing people don't even think of it like at all. Like, I mean, Trump, he's doing a debate. Don't you have people that help you? He probably, I don't know if he has a script or not, maybe he's organic, but I'm sure he has a team. And I'm sure they have a list of the issues and the points that Trump wants to talk about. The trafficking children wasn't on there? You mean out of all the listed group of his people around him, nobody thought to say, you know what, this will be a good, psychologically, this will be a good move, Mr. Trump. If you just mention it, all you have to do is mention trafficking of children and mention how you're the only one that talks about it. That'll plant the seed and that'll go far. That'll get you over in this election even more than you're already getting over on it, sir. So Trump, he didn't think of it. None of the other niggas thought of it. Alex Jones is so go hard, he wants them to shove it down their throat, where now Trump looks like the loony nigga. You feel me? So niggas, that's essentially what this part 2 is about. It ties in with the part 1 about limiting yourself, because I think part of what keeps people not as bright as I guess they can be, is trying to fit into a certain mold or whatever. You know what I mean? So again, when Styles talks all his shit, worthiness, I'm not trying to sound, I'm just being myself. I've spoken to that man on the phone. I don't think I've spoken any differently. I don't think I speak any differently when I'm not doing a video. You know what I'm saying? But I do have a better understanding that you got to be able to spoon feed shit to people. I think he said it was Hemingway that said the best writers are those that could do it in the fewest words. Now that is a brilliant art within itself, absolutely. But I think there's more to it. Even in your few words, even if you're going to use fewer words, which kind of would simplify it, in those few words, you have to kind of keep it somewhat simple as well if you want a larger collective to get it. So there is an art to that. So I appreciate that one. So yeah, everybody, don't traffic children.